Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today, if you don't mind, I would like to continue on our journey and exploration through this set, which is the Criterion Collection release earlier this year, 2020, called Essential Fellini. And today I'd like to focus our attention, if I may, on Disc 2 of such Blu-ray set. And such Disc 2 sets forth the film from 1952, which is called The White SHIEK. This is the film from 1952, and it is called, again, please pardon me for my very poor pronunciation of the Italian language, SHIEK Bianco, or in English, The White SHIEK. This is a film that is directed, of course, by Federico Fellini in a sole directorship credit. So as we recall, in the previous feature film, Variety Lights, he is credited as being co-director with Latuada. Here, he is credited as the sole director. So in many ways, this is considered to be Federico Fellini's first sole-directed film, The White SHIEK. So it does have that kind of prominence in the context of a discussion of Federico Fellini's filmography. It is also a film that is very much in keeping with the type of themes and concerns and ideas that we have seen thus far, say, in Variety Lights, and I would say that we will see in future films by Fellini. Thus, it remains very consistent in the body of the Fellini canon. Just for your information, as far as the details are concerned, this was a film that, as I say, he directed from a screenplay by him and also Tullio Pinelli. The story originally came from an idea conceived by Michelangelo Antonioni, very interestingly enough, but due to certain production details and behind-the-scenes details, the project ended up going to the corner of Federico Fellini, and it ended up becoming very much a Federico Fellini film. The crux, I think, of this Fellini-esque aspect of the film, The White SHIEK, I think can be derived from the discussion of the plot itself. So if we were to turn to the plot and try to distill it to its very essence, I think we can see that it is a story about a particular set of characters, or specifically this couple, this newlywed couple, husband and wife, and played by Brunello Bovo and Leopoldo Trieste. And we have these two characters coming to the big city in order to have greetings and introductions made between the newlywed wife and the family. However, due to certain plot circumstances, the husband and wife separate. And so we have the husband's story in terms of how he's trying to deal with the disappearance of his wife and how he's trying to explain this to his family in a number of comic episodes that also highlight the great acting prowess of Trieste. Also, we have the wife's story, the Wanda character story, and how she is very much infatuated with the character of the White SHIEK, Alberto Sordi. And her infatuation is coming from her love and admiration of what is known as the fotoromanzi, or the fumetti, these entertainments based in photographic depictions of comic book-like storytelling. And so she is fascinated with this aspect of the entertainment world, and through a certain set of circumstances, she ends up becoming part of the shooting process and the storytelling process. And that allows for the film to engage in a kind of wonderful story dialogue that involves doses of comedy as well as doses of humor, tragedy and sadness. So melancholy and comedy are intertwined into one. And I think this is one of the reasons why this is very much a Fellini film. Also, we have elements of entertainment and the world of fiction and artifice that is suggestive of notions of dreams and ambition and hope, but also linked quite inextricably with the depiction of the reality and the down-to-earthness and the truth. And this is sometimes dealt with in harsh tones. In other words, the dream is shattered because the illusion is broken, and we see what the reality is behind the facade. So dreams lead way to a sense of disillusionment or disappointment, or perhaps delusion and embarrassment on the one hand, whereas an exploration of the terms of reality, so to speak, or the realm of reality, lead to further enlightenments, shall we say, as to the dynamics between and among the human characters as we see them. So what people seem to be might not necessarily be who they are. And I think this is a very interesting and fundamental lesson that we see played out in various forms in Fellini's works, not just prior, say in Variety Lights, but also subsequent to this in films going forward. So in these ways, I think we see a connection, a very strong connection between this film and that of Fellini's canon writ large. I would say also that going back to something I mentioned earlier about the way that Fellini very skillfully balances between humor and sadness. This is very much something that is part of Fellini's approach to cinema. I think we can also see it in a kind of metaphorical discussion or even a thematic discussion when we understand Fellini's fascination, say, with the circus and the clown, and the idea of the clown being a figure that is meant to suggest both humor and funny situations, but also tragic and sad situations. So the clown as funny person, but also as sad person, all at the same time. Well, here in The White Sheik, we have so many moments of this type of duality-based expression of entertainment values, namely the dual nature of singular moments in this film that exemplifies so sharply and so remarkably the combination or the duality that exists between moments of humor and comedy on the one hand and moments of melancholy and pathos and sadness on the other hand. And oftentimes they are all in one swift brushstroke of cinematic poetry. There is a particular moment involving crying between characters in this film that's a very famous moment. And the crying becomes a moment of sadness expressed outwardly, but it also becomes a moment of humor and comedy that we as viewers can access, and it also becomes a moment of connectivity between the characters, also between and among us, the viewers, and the cinematic world. And this is an example, I think, of how Fellini's cinema, as expressed in this film, The White Sheik, really captures in these profound cinematic moments so many different tones and atmospheres of the human expression come together as one. And he does it with this swift, bold style that is also very entertaining and funny and also emotional at the same time. This is the brilliance, I would say, of Fellini, and we see it played out in so many wonderfully staged moments in this film, The White Sheik, thus making this film a really beautiful entertainment and also a consistent film in the catalog of Fellini, and thus an essential stop along the way for anyone who is interested in an engagement with the works of Fellini in a kind of cinematic journey of exploration of Fellini's filmography. So this is the film, The White Sheik. Now, with respect to this particular release by the Criterion Collection, as I say, we have this disc, which is the second disc, disc 2, and I've taken the liberty of removing it from the box set itself. And sorry about this poor presentation, but I have it in this clear plastic case that I have purchased separately. And as you can see, it says The White Sheik here. It has a dark blue type of color motif to the disc itself, plus the font. It's a very interesting font. I would encourage you to take a look at the disc if you have the box set itself. The way that the discs are colored and arranged, that in and of itself is very interesting, and it seems to be an effort to capture an impression or essence of what the film is in this Blu-ray disc physical media format, which is a wonderful extra touch by Criterion. So well done, Criterion, for doing that. I should mention before I go on to the supplements is that we did see this film in the Criterion collection in what I understand, which is now an out-of-print DVD. This had been at spine number 189, which is what I have here, and this is the back. The presentation was quite good, I thought, and it wasn't. It was something that I had always hoped would return to the Criterion collection. Now, of course, we see it come back to the collection in the form of this box set as of the time of this video. As I've mentioned earlier, the box set itself is not spine numbered, but for your information, the film does emerge on this DVD at spine number 189 for your information. But also, from my point of view, the Blu-ray presentation, this restoration presentation, is splendid. The film looks really sharp and vivid, so I was very impressed. I wasn't at all disappointed with the earlier DVD presentation at all, but it looks really nice here. So I'm so happy that it's in this box set like it is. But going back now to the White SHIEK as it appears or as it is included as part of the Essential Fellini set, what we have, first of all, as far as supplements are concerned, we have two major sets. The first is known as Remembrances, and this is actually credited as being from the early 2000s, and this is approximately 31 minutes. And here we have Moraldo Rossi, as well as the stars of the film, Leopoldo Trieste and Brunella Bovo. And we have their recollections of working on the film, meeting Fellini for the first time, how they ended up getting involved with the world of Fellini's cinema, and along the way, specific episodes or anecdotes or bits of information that they can reveal. So this is a great supplement. It's something that we did see in past releases, but it's nice to have it carried over here, and it's really it's lovely. For example, it is very informative. In particular, Moraldo Rossi and Brunella Bovo talk, for example, about the fotoromanzi and the fumetti, and how this was a type of very it was the type of entertainment that it was at the time, and how Fellini or how Antonioni seemed to be focused in on this as far as the creation of the original story, but then how Fellini developed this idea for purposes of what ended up becoming the film The White SHIEK. So this is also very fascinating from a historical perspective, as well as being an explanation of certain bases of what the film ended up becoming. So this is in and of itself, I think, really wonderful to have, as well as wonderful recollections by these participants about working with Fellini and about how Fellini seemed to be able to capture something of the essence of who they were as artists and the like. Also, we should remember that the film, upon initial release, did not necessarily get glowing reviews as we might otherwise expect from a Fellini film now. And so there's a really poignant episode that's recounted by Moraldo Rossi about how Fellini was somewhat despondent or disappointed in terms of some of the critical reactions to the film, and how Rossi recalls how Tullio Kezice really came to the aid of Fellini at the time and just gave him a lot of compliments about him as an artist, and told him that he had something really special to give to the world of cinema. And I think this really illuminates just how much Fellini was really into his work, and it's great to see this exchange again, as recounted by Rossi here. Also, Rossi talks too about Fellini's place in Italian cinema at this time, And I made a brief mention of it in my past video about the discussion of the film Variety Lights, but we also have to remember that Fellini cinema, while there are connections undoubtedly with the movement known as Italian neorealism, still there are striking differences between Fellini's work even during this early period and the movement of neorealism in cinema, or Italian neorealism cinema. Such that Rossi describes it as being Fellini almost acting independently, not due to any sort of moral or philosophical stance, but just merely because of the nature of his personality. He wanted a sense of independence as an artist, according to Rossi, and so this meant that he made films of this nature. True, and granted, there are elements of a realism that are captured in this film, a type of cosmopolitan society, an entertainment society that is depicted in terms of elements of the film The White Sheik, that's for sure. Fotoromanzi elements as well, that's definitely for sure. So that might be suggestive of a type of capturing of the reality or moment of the contemporary times in society. But at the same time, the focus is on this romanticized notion of dreams versus reality, but in the context of this duo of characters, and it might be said to be somewhat comic as well as being somewhat sad, but even the tones of sadness, I think, are drawn most vividly and connected most vividly to the characters' inner workings rather than necessarily to, say, any externality, socio-political or economic issue or problem that might exist outside the world of the characters at the time. So in other words, this is focused in on the drama, the emotionally based drama of the characters, thus making this film, like Variety Lights before it, perhaps set off from the movement of Italian neorealism, though it still has remnants, if you will, or connections that are similar between Fellini's films as we see them thus far and the films of other filmmakers that came before. So this is, I think, explained with much more force and much more much more grace by Rossi in the supplement than I could ever hope to employ in my own use of language. So in that and other ways, I really recommend checking out this supplement, which is called Remembrances, which is again on Disc 2 supplement section for The White Sheik. Next, we have a section of supplements which is called the Gideon Bachman Interviews. And these interviews are audio recordings from 1962 according to the supplement section. These are, one set of interviews is with Fellini himself, approximately 30 minutes. Another set is with what's known as family and friends, so acquaintances, close acquaintances, and also family members who speak to Fellini's childhood past, what he was like, and also certain meetings and certain relationships that have consequences in terms of Fellini's life at the time, concurrently, circa 1962, as well as the first set of interviews. The first set of interviews being with Fellini himself directly, sometimes in English, sometimes in Italian. So this is a great set of audio interviews. And anyone who is seeking to know more about Fellini and the thought process and the creative process and the family and friends and growing up, because as we know, a lot of these elements of family and growing up in childhood and relationships that Fellini had, a lot of this is part of his cinematic expressions and perspectives, even from an early point, like we see in Variety Lights or The White Sheik. So this is really great material to listen to. This Gideon Bachman interview sections were actually made available through another Criterion supplement, as far as I understand it. Amarcord, the individual release of Amarcord, actually had the supplements, but we're having them again for purposes of this new set, this time combined with the Disc 2, the White Sheik Blu-ray. So it's good to have them in the set here. I should say also that we don't necessarily Well, actually, let me take that back. The supplement that I spoke about earlier, Remembrances, does speak specifically about the White Sheik. There will be other supplements on other discs, say, for example, on the supplement section for the third disc, I Vitelloni, that speaks somewhat also to the film The White Sheik. So if you are interested, you can check out some of the other discs in the Essential Fellini set for more information about the White Sheik. For example, I Vitelloni includes, the disc 3, I Vitelloni disc includes a supplement called Second Look, and in that Second Look, second episode, there is a little bit of a discussion or interview with Sordi, and so he speaks to his workings on the White Sheik and other reminiscences between him and Fellini. So if you're interested, you can find more continuation of a discussion of the White Sheik on other parts of the set. But we also have what's on this disc 2, which is, I think, very excellent indeed. So with that, my friends, this is the second disc, or disc 2, in the Essential Fellini set, called The White Sheik. And I must say that the film is one of my favorites. I remember being able to watch it fairly early in my own cinematic journey with Fellini films, which actually started when I was a teenager and into my university years. And so this was one of the films that I gravitated towards quite early, and I found it very charming and comic, but also very sad and touching in a lot of places. And so those feelings in me have not changed upon viewing it more recently, in recent years. So, that is a testament, I think, to the power and emotional depth that is held in this film, The White Sheik, as well as being an example of the comic, masterful timing and expressions that we see in the great film expressions of the cinematic artist and maestro, who is Federico Fellini. So this is the film, The White Sheik. Okay, my friends, so that's it for now. And so until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great, great movies. So please continue to stay well, stay safe, and cheers.